Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I want to teach you how to make one of my deck box designs. I need to think of a good name for these. These are like flat opening, wide opening, full open. I'm going to come up with some good name and it's going to be in the title of this video. But basically, this is a deck box that will hold a small deck of cards, and it'll be fully open so that you can just grab the deck of cards and close it back up. Now, I'm going to be using the pattern that I made for the game Planet, but it is entirely possible you have accessed this video with a different pattern, different artwork, but the same template. So just keep that in mind. Even though I'm making this for Planet, it's possible you're here for a different reason. Now, the other thing I want to say is, before you criticize me and say, why are you making this for the game Planet? It is because Planet has a great insert. Here, let me show you. The problem with this insert, why am I spending time on this? I don't know. The problem with this insert is, when I was storing this game vertically, the cards would just fit right here. When I had stored the game vertically, the cards always fell out, and it was frustrating for me. And so I just made this particular box to just fit right there, perfect, and it holds the first player, or yeah, the current player, whatever that thing's called. And I will point out, I did a round summary on one side of that. So anyway, this is what I'm making today, and you don't have to criticize me for making a pointless box. That's okay, but I'm kind of proud of it. So, okay, let's get this out of the way. In order to make this, you're going to need to, first of all, print out a template. And so if you look in the description of this video, there is going to be a website for all of my designs. And from there, you can click on either Planet, if that's the one you're looking for, or if you're here from a different game, click on the links until you get to BoardGameGeek.com, where I have uploaded the template. So eventually, you need to find the template. Leave me a comment if you need help, and print it off on cardstock. This is just normal cardstock. Now, different designs will have different artwork, as I mentioned, and specifically, as I already showed you, for this Planet design, I actually have the setup guide in the deck box, so you need to print this double-sided. As you're doing that for this particular one, make sure that you'll have an option probably, depending on your printer, to do a long edge binding or a short edge binding. I did it short edge binding so that this is face up, and if you flip it across the short edge, this is still face up as well. So maybe you want to print some on regular paper or black and white just to make sure you know how to print off your paper, but essentially print out your template. We're going to need some scissors and some tape. I'll talk about different kinds of tape in just a moment. You don't have to have a big paper cutter. I just like the big paper cutter to cut out the overall outside edge. So first step is, let's cut out the outline of the shape. There's a tripod sitting right here. It's always really awkward for me to reach around and cut the paper with this tripod, so I don't do it on camera. I'm going to hurry and go cut out this paper and get rid of the paper cutter. I will see you back here in just a second. Alright, and we are back. Now, it's going to be kind of tough to see here. Let me hold this up. But I should have said this before leaving you. When I cut this out, I really tried to make sure I didn't leave any of the black outline around the edge. So make sure that you try to not leave any black outline showing. It will look a little bit better. It'll look a lot better when you're done. So I went ahead and cut that out. Next thing we're going to do is we need to cut out these weird shapes with the X's. Now, I'm going to do a shortcut. I'm going to combine two steps in one, and if you made my villainous deck boxes, this will look familiar to you. But not only am I going to cut out this weird shape, but for the white parts that are left over, I'm going to cut out a small angle. So, if that's overwhelming, just start by cutting along the dotted lines to get these shapes out. But I know that later on I'm going to be cutting this angle, so I'm doing it right now. So you can see my first cut is right there, kind of just this angle. It does not need to be precise. There's no certain degrees. I estimate like 45 degrees, but it doesn't matter. And then we're going to cut out this shape right here, like this. And as I get to this other side, again, you can just cut on the dotted line if you want, but I know that eventually I'm going to want that cut like that. And so that is how I'm cutting out that side. Get this out of the way. If you're wondering why I didn't just make a diagonally line, I do all of my designs in Microsoft Word. I try to add the diagonally lines and they don't ever go in the right place. So I just got frustrated and stopped, and I'm rewarding you viewers who are watching this video. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and cut that. And that, again, I'm just making those angles because I've made enough of these. I know exactly what I want and what I'm doing. We're going to go ahead and slice this way. And then, for me, I like to just go ahead and cut that angle like that. Okay? Now, we're going to do the middle part next. So, watch closely on your dotted lines. We're actually going to keep this square, and it's going to be attached on that side. There's no dotted line on that side, but there is on this side. So, you're going to see, I'll start with my angle. I'm going to go ahead and cut all the way down the line like this. I'm going to turn my paper. Now I'm not going to come all the way back up. It's like I'm cutting out the letter F right now almost, right? So now I'm going to come back to this dotted line, cut it like that, bring it up and over, and then we're going to slice like that. Okay? You kind of see what I'm doing there? All right, next up, go ahead and get this corner. Again, angle, and cut out this goofy shape here. And go ahead and cut that out. And cut. Next up, one more corner piece, angle. We're going to cut out like this. You can see my printer isn't fantastic. I just have a really cheap printer that I got from Walmart about 8 years ago, I think I got it. One of these days I have grand ambitions of taking all of my designs to Kinko's or wherever and getting like a really nice print job. Frankly, I'm too lazy to remake all of those boxes because there's a lot of them. Alright, and then final one, middle piece. Now I got to be careful on this one. This time on the left hand side, I'm not going all the way down. Again, take note of dotted line on this side, but not on that side. So I'm going to go this way as well. And we'll cut like this and bring it around. Oh, like that. And then I'm going to come up here and finish it off right about there. All right, so when you're done cutting out your shape, you should have something like this. As I was going, I cut that square and that square. But you're going to see there's a couple more small squares we kind of need to cut. Where you need to cut, it's like we're cutting L shapes to make two different small squares here. So we're going to go ahead and make those cuts like that. Make that cut there. And that cut there. Okay. Next, what are we doing? Oh, how about I not get ahead of myself? I have two more of those to do. So, cut this here, and cut this here. Cut this L here, and we're going to cut that L right there. All right, cool. Okay, now I do all of my cuts first. Next thing, I'm going to do all of my folds. All of my creasing happens next. There's a lot of them on this one, and it's really hard to see because of my terrible printer, but there are lines all over this thing. This is a dark color too, but thankfully all of our cut marks are going to really help guide our folding process. So the way I like to fold this is I turn it upside down, and I always forget this. Totally optional, but there is a small thing I like to glue, and I'm going to mark it with the red pen because I always forget to do it until it's too late. But, so like looking at it like this, even if nothing's printed here, you see we have these four things. I call them the legs or the wings. I don't know what I call them. We got four of those. One of them has a square attached to it, and the other one does not. So this has a square attached to it. This does not. This does have a square attached to it. This does not. I'm going to just take this and do a little squiggle to remind myself that later on, I'm going to throw some glue here and here. Okay, that's a totally optional thing. If you don't do it, you're going to be fine. All right, but let's talk about how to fold this thing. Do you kind of see this line that's being created from all of these little squares? Well, we'll get that in a second. First things first. Sorry, I've been recording videos all day. First things first, we're going to go ahead and fold each of the small squares that we can see. So there was one. Here's one. I'm just working my way around the shape, just folding the squares and giving it a good crease. I like to use my fingernail, or if that's not getting the job done the way I want to, a lot of times I'll use the handle of the scissors to get it done. But for now, this seems to be going okay. So we're going to go ahead and crease that, crease here, and let's crease here. Oops. So I kind of cut a little bit too deeply there. That's okay. I can just push that back to where it's supposed to go. I'm just using the coloration of the paper to guide where I'm folding. Just a couple more small squares to get folded. So fold all of these small squares, or you can, maybe they're called tabs, or I don't know. I need to come up with all these official names for these things. Okay. So we have all of the squares folded like that. And you can open them back up. We mostly just need the creases. Okay, now what I was saying before is, if you kind of see there's like an invisible line going up across those squares on these sides, that's going to be my first fold for this part. So we're just going to go ahead and fold it down. Again, this is a good example because it is hard to see the line, but our cut marks are going to help us. Not only can you line up this part with that line here, but you can line up the difference between the printed edge and the white edge with this square line helping us there, and this one over here. So I just kind of line it up and hold it with my right hand and crease it with my left fingernail. Thumbnail, if you want to get precise. Then the second fold we're going to do is right here. I'm not going to open it up and fold it again. I'm going to keep it closed and fold it down right where the white part meets the printed part. And you can see, once again, our cut marks are really helping us guide those folds. Okay, so in the end, it should look kind of like that. Let's do that again on all these other three sides. So all four of those have the same. So fold right above the squares, using the printing and the cut marks to help guide you. And then you're going to fold between the printed and the white part like that. Again, using those squares and the cut marks to guide your way. All right, coming up over here, fold right above the squares. Use those cut lines and the printing to help guide where you should go. And then we're going to fold that one more time right here. Okay, and then finally, we've got this. And then we'll fold one more time here. I tried my best to make these designs goof-proof and fool-proof, but it's not a bad idea to print on regular paper on black and white so you're not wasting resources. A trial one, just so you can make sure that you're getting the folds in the right place. Okay, next, it's almost impossible to see here, but there are printed lines all along the back side here. Pretty much anywhere you can see a cut mark, there's going to be a line. So let's just go ahead and open these things up. I'm going to make a whole bunch of folds going down this way. And the first time, instead of folding on top of the squares, I'm going to fold underneath the squares. And once again, that's because we'll have a printed side and a white side. So I'm going to go ahead and just fold that over like this. See what I did there, hopefully? And then we're going to make one more fold right here without opening that up. Go ahead and fold that. That's going to be one of the sides of our box. Right like that. Okay. Now we've got two folds in the middle, so I'm just going to bring that whole side over. And again, the cut lines are really just guiding where I'm putting that. I need one more fold, so I'm just going to keep pulling it until it looks about right with those cuts. Yeah, about like that. Yeah, that should be good. And then finally, we've got this last part. Again, first fold under the squares. Sorry, I might be going too fast for you. I've done this so many times, I'm going too fast. But obviously, if you need to rewind or pause, I guess that's the magic of video instructions. I'm going to do one more fold right here without opening it up. And we're going to have all of our folds are done and ready to go. Okay, next up, I want to focus on this part with my squiggles. So remember, these wings don't have the squares attached to them. What I'm going to do, this is going to sound a little weird, is I'm just going to throw some glue. I have the world's biggest glue stick here. We're going to throw some glue just on those squiggles. Like that. You'll see the purpose of that. Again, this step is totally skippable. You don't have to do it. It's just going to help part of my compulsions later on. All right, so I put some glue, and rather than gluing these together, I'm actually going to fold them away from each other for a second. So this almost looks like arms on a body, we're going to go ahead and cut off the arms backwards like this. Okay, these squares are still accessible. And what we're going to do is take the arms, we're going to fold it this way so that these squares are coming inward like this. And then I'm going to grab the head of my imaginary person and fold them up and over those squares. And you're going to see some new squares are coming down along the side like that. Okay, now I'm just noticing, again, some of my compulsions, that some of the printing is being covered by this tab. So just really quickly, I'm just going to grab my scissors and just trim just a little bit off of that whole side so that the printing shows nicely. And I know the glue is kind of drying, but mostly it's becoming sticky. Oh, and I folded accidentally. Okay, so again, wings come forward, wrap this up and over like that, and you'll have new squares on the sides like that. Okay? Okay, good. So now I'm just holding this closed. I'm pinching at the base, and I'm going to grab some tape. I didn't talk about tape yet. This is invisible tape. And I don't know why they call it invisible. It's absolutely visible on the roll. But with white paper and light printing, it does kind of disappear into the paper like that. If you use this glossy, transparent tape, so this one's transparent, this is invisible, then this becomes super duper visible. Like it becomes too shiny right there. So that's why I like that kind of tape for this project. So yeah, we're going to stick with this kind of tape right now. Next, remember I glued right there. We're going to bring this up and over that tab, and we're going to just pinch where we glued. And what that does is, rather than staying kind of openish like this, once we glue it, it really just looks like one piece of paper, but we know it's been folded. So go ahead and bring that up and over, pinch it at the base so it's nice and tight, and we're going to tape it down like that. Let's do that same thing on this side. Oh, it's kind of gluey. Okay, I got it on my hands. So we're going to bring that up and over, and we're just going to pinch it closed. Make sure you get the corners nice and pinched. Pinch the glued part for sure. And we're going to throw some tape on it like this. Now, you could, if you wanted to, put some glue right here, but mostly this tab is going to hide the imperfection that I'm trying to solve by gluing on that side over there. So, let's review what we just did. We're going to do it again. Take the arms of this creature, fold them backwards, just so that you can kind of get stuff out of the way. Then we're going to bring these squares in, fold it up like that, and then we're just going to wrap this part up and over those pieces. And again, new wings are going to come into place right there. I'm pinching it at the base. It looks like this one looks good. The printing's not being covered up in any way. I go ahead and throw some tape on. You can hardly see it. In fact, it almost went off because I couldn't see it. Let's throw another piece. Okay, next up, I'm going to wrap this part up and over. I didn't glue anything there. I could have, but I didn't. Use your fingers to make sure that that's snug. Pinch it closed at the base, and then go ahead and tape right there. And then this one, bring it up and over like that. Sorry, I keep bumping the camera. I literally have my arms wrapped around the tripod. It's very uncomfortable. Just like that. Okay? Now, these things are here to keep everything in place as you bring the thing close to here. Just to show you this will work, I'm going to junk that. Bring your cards over. These are all of the animal scoring tiles and our first player marker. And they're going to fit right there. Now, I left a little bit of space because I'm going to guess that there might be some promos or who knows what. There might be more cards added to this. But I just put those cards there. Make sure the wings are in. That just is kind of to secure it kind of closed a little bit. And then we're just going to bring the lid up and over. The very first time you close it, it's going to be a little bit awkward as all of the seals are getting into the right place. So you bring it closed. Make sure you do this with cards in the first time. Otherwise, you'll crush your box. But you make sure one corner is in, and then you're going to have to kind of force the other corner just a little bit just to make it nice and closed. And there you go. This is one of my, I haven't named this type of deck box yet, but one of my top, open top, I don't know, deck boxes. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed that. Again, if you'd like to see more projects like this, there's a link for my webpage in the description of this video. Go ahead and browse there. Maybe there's another project that you like. This is something I really enjoy doing, so expect more to keep showing up. And you can follow me on Twitter. I usually announce when I'm going to publish stuff like this. So there you go. Our Planet Dex box, or any other kind of deck box, is there to go. All right, thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.